Welcome to Orchestra. I'm Mr. Bennett, and I am so excited to welcome you and your child to the world of stringed instruments. This piece I am playing is the Prelude in G major by J.S. Bach, and it is one of my favorite pieces to perform on cello, so I thought it would be a good way to introduce myself. The purpose of the slideshow is to show you some things about learning an instrument, what you'll need to get started, and explain the schedule to you. So first, I'd like to talk about the goals of orchestra. We want to play music that is exciting and expressive, learn fundamental skills towards lifelong enjoyment of string music. So when we're learning our instrument, I'm not just thinking about your child as a fourth grader, but I'm thinking about them all the way through 12th grade and beyond. Explore and appreciate playing different styles of music. We often associate string instruments with classical music, and we'll certainly learn some of that, but there's also a lot to learn from jazz, rock and roll, and many other styles. We're going to learn to work together as a team to create wonderful performances and develop positive attitudes about learning and challenge ourselves. And I told the students a great thing about learning the instrument is we're learning how to learn. So here are some of my beliefs that I've developed over time teaching and my own philosophy towards learning an instrument. First, I believe each child has incredible potential to grow and develop as a musician. While we don't all develop the same skills at the same rates, I have not ever had a student who does not grow as a musician and learns to express themselves through music. Learning music is like learning a language. We learn sound before sight. So especially in fourth grade, we're going to do a lot without reading music. We're going to learn how to hold our instrument, learn good technique, and really focus on good tone and intonation. And that will ensure we have a good sound that then we can interpret when we start to learn to read music. Playing an instrument is being part of a team. The energy and success of the group is determined by the positive contributions of all. And finally, learning requires an appreciation for mistakes and repetition. And that's what I want to talk a little bit more about next. So what does learn an instrument look like? This video is a video of my son, Gabriel. He was about a year old when my mom, his grandmother, videotaped this. And he's about 4 years old now and in pre-K. But I always look back at this video as such a great example of what authentic learning looks like. So let's take a look.
You gonna bring that to me? Yeah. Come on. Up you go. Bring it over. Up. Try again.
So he's obviously learning how to walk in this video.
You're gonna sit on it? That's it. Bring it over. Pick it up and bring it over. Good job, Gabriel. Good job. Yay!
And I'll pause it there. So what I love about this is there are so many things that reflect what learning looks like in the beginning stages. He's learning how to walk. The ability to walk doesn't look very natural on him. It doesn't look like what we imagine when we think of someone walking. So the beginning stages don't always look like the vision that we have ultimately. This is one of my favorite quotes. The ability to do something equals having the knowledge of it plus repeating it 10,000 times. So it's not only knowing what we want, but then it's the practice of doing it many, many times that eventually leads to our ability and fluency in that. Small skills lead to big skills. So I told the students that some of what we do won't actually look like string playing, but will lead to the skills that we need to play an instrument well and easily. So just like Gabriel here kind of does this Frankenstein walk and falls over a few times, eventually that skill has turned into him walking really well. And now he runs all over the place and I can barely keep up with him. And just as you have seen with your own children, their running skills now lead them to being able to play sports and more advanced type of skills. Making mistakes is part of the process. So he fell over a few times, and when you're at this age and not self-conscious, you don't really think too much about it. But now, as we kind of develop sort of like an ego and are looking at ourselves when we're learning, we start to get self-conscious when we make mistakes or when things happen. But we need to feel safe and know that making those mistakes is part of the process. So I will not yell at students when they make a mistake or play something wrong. And I hope when they practice at home and you hear things that don't quite sound what you would hope a string instrument sounds like, that you're encouraging rather than complaining or making fun of that. Because when your child was learning how to walk, we didn't, we would only encourage them. We didn't put them down. And that was very motivating for them at that age. Learning is sometimes fun, it's sometimes frustrating, it's sometimes exciting, sometimes challenging, but most importantly, we're all in this together. And these are high schoolers and middle schoolers who began in the same place as your children began, and they have learned to develop a community around playing instruments and have really gained so much from the experience. So, whatever struggles occur in the early stages, there's really lots of payoffs throughout the years. So now, getting started, your child should have an instrument that is the correct size at this point. With the instrument, they probably got rosin, and that rosin is what we use to put on the bow to make it grip the strings a little bit better. So that's something I'll teach the kids how to use. A shoulder rest for violin and violas. This is a hard plastic one. I actually encourage a lot of students to use like a shoulder sponge, or I can provide some different size sponges that make it more comfortable. The cello strap here is for cellos, and that hooks to the leg of a chair, and then their end pin goes into that so they don't slip on hard floors. The rock stop is sort of like a circular disc. Sometimes bass rock stops look like this. It serves a similar purpose. And then I really recommended a music stand for home. When we start reading music, it just makes it so much easier to have good posture and feel ease in playing when the instrument's held up at the correct height, rather than kind of like laying down on the bed or something and you have to look down or do something funny to look at it. What I give students at the beginning of the year, and I've given some students this already, or they will get it in an upcoming lesson. They get a black orchestra binder with tab dividers in there. They'll get a pencil pouch, a music note pencil. I have kind of my own beginning strings book that I'll be giving them in sections. I'll give them a few pages at a time as we work our ways through it. And then a practice bow that looks a little bit different than the one in this picture, but it'll be longer, and I'll explain more about that in a moment. And then we give the kids an official Harrison Orchestra instrument tag. It's just a name tag, and I know some students already have them on there, but it's kind of fun to have the Harrison one. When I taught at the high school for a number of years, and it was fun having high schoolers who's held onto their name tags from elementary school all the way through. So now, reading the schedule, your child has gotten or will get a long-term schedule. I gave them like a schedule just for the first cycle that was just so that we could get started. Now I will be giving them one for a multi-weeks. A few things about the schedule. Their group name includes the letter day their lessons occur. So if they're in group A1, their lessons will always occur on A days. The lesson times rotate, so students don't miss the same part of their class more than once or twice a month, or once every 2 months or so. Teachers and support staff are great for communicating with us in case of conflicts or when there are changes in the schedule. So, if you're worried about missing services or something like that, we always work that out, and it's we all work very well together. It always goes well. Here's an example that I'll just show you up close. So here is our, this is an 8-day schedule. So this is for Harrison Ave. I'm at Harrison Ave on 8 days. So for example, if you're in group A1, your lesson one cycle, today actually, was at 11:15. And then the next 8-day, which will be October 6th, will be at 1:30. Then the next time will be at 12 o'clock. And you see it sort of bounces around. So over the course of these 5 cycles, they don't miss the same time. So that's basically how we read the schedule. So it's just good to kind of maybe highlight the group you're in these, and then keep track of that. Really, the most important thing is knowing the day that you have that your child has the lesson, and then your teachers and I always will go remind students if they forget their lesson. So next, the practice bow. So the practice bow I gave the students in their first lessons or first time meeting up with me, and it's basically a 2-foot dowel with a clothespin attached to it down here at the bottom. The purpose of the practice bow is a focus on correct hand shape and finger placement, developing the bow hold without fear of dropping the bow. So you could drop the practice bow, but if you drop your real bow, it may break. It's sort of a graduation towards using the real bow. So we really want to develop the skills on this first, so that way using the real bow is sort of a reward, and also we're going to have an easier time transitioning to that. It also will be used to develop thumb strength and motion using the clothespin. So that looks like this little video clip that I'll show you. So I'm using my thumb joint to close and open the pin, clothespin, and you see my bent thumb, and you see the round hand shape, and I'm developing thumb strength and endurance through this exercise that will help me with creating good tone on the instrument as I play. Once the bow hold becomes more independent, we will begin to bring instruments home to practice. So I'm going to wait until I feel like students are getting more secure with the bow hold. And then it's when they go home, they really know what they're doing when they start taking the instrument out. So about kind of what I call mastery of playing the instruments. In the beginning strings book, the pages kind of look like this for different skills. So this is for the bunny bow hold when we're practicing it on the practice bow. So there will be checklists for mastery of whatever the skill is. So what I refer to as mastery is basically a student can do multiple repetitions of that skill with minimal teacher assistance or correction. Um, and thinking of that small skills leads to big skills, and the ability equals knowledge plus 10,000 times. The book is basically providing the knowledge of what to do things, and then it's up to the student to practice that in our lessons and at home, and then develop these skills. And then when they can meet the criteria for the checklist, I give them a stamp, and then they're ready to move on to the next advanced skill. Of course, we'll be working on multiple skills sometimes at a time, so not everything in the book is in linear, but but that's basically how we kind of keep track of what we're working on, and how quickly we move through the material. Here's a kind of example of a book page. This is the bunny bow hold, just basically how we make the proper hand shape for the bow. And you'll see that I have multiple pictures, little exercises, steps, and I try to do a bunch of pictures of what it looks like, and then a checklist for mastery, and then sometimes other exercises. So this is the opening and closing the clothespin with the thumb. Then I also provide for students this beginning strings website. I created this last year when we were virtual, and I really was happy with it. I need to change some things, so I won't share it right away. I'll be sharing it soon. But it's basically a website where each video is a mini lesson of me going over each skill that needs to be mastered for playing our instrument. And it just goes on through many, many things. And some of these videos you can just follow along with, and it's like having a mini lesson with me. Some of them are sort of just play along videos. So that's pretty fun if a student is confused about what to work on, or the book isn't clear enough for them. Finally, a little bit of concert information. We do have concerts on the calendar, but we don't know what format these will be. If they'll be live, small recital, a video that we just make and have to send out. So there are so many factors that we can't predict exactly what that will look like. I know that it's not going to be a typical full orchestra playing full ensemble music like we would normally do in the past. We're getting closer to that, I think, in schools, but we're just not there yet. And I don't even think with proper distancing, our students would all fit on our stage. Typically, fourth graders perform in the String Extravaganza in March. It's this awesome concert that we do each year, except for the obviously the past 2 years. But it's a big, it's the district-wide fourth grade through 12th grade string concert held at the high school. So the elementary schoolers can hear the high school and the middle schoolers play, and we then finish with kind of a piece that we all play together, and it's just really great and a lot of fun. And we sometimes have themes with it. We did a comic concert once where we did all comic book music and kind of Marvel music and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. And then the school always has a spring concert in May or June. So the fourth graders don't perform instruments in the winter concert. Only fifth grade does that. Fourth grade sings in the winter concert. I'm not sure that will happen this year, but so they will. So fourth grade will only play in the string extravaganza and then in their school's spring concert. I want to end with sharing a quick clip of the high school orchestra. This is the high school orchestra along with band members. This is what we would call a full orchestra, really much more like a professional orchestra. Um, and this is just something so that you sort of have a vision of where your child is going in the program and what the vision that I have for them. This is me actually conducting the high school orchestra. We did this big grand finale doing the Pirates of the Caribbean music, and I'm gonna end with this. And I'm so excited to begin playing music with your children. And thank you so much for the support that you're giving them to pursue their interests. And here we go. So thank you so much again for taking the time to watch this video, and I look forward to a wonderful year with your kids. Thank you.